final installment of our Christmas in Ruth devotional series. This is our fourth and final video of this little Advent series we put together just to be a blessing to our folks at First Baptist Church. Hopefully it has been a blessing to you. Hopefully you've been able to watch the first three. If you were watching last week and you saw that video, you know that Ruth chapter 3 ends with a little bit of a cliffhanger, right? There's a little bit of drama, there's a little bit of suspense. Now, chances are you've heard the story of Ruth before, you've read through the book before, and so you kind of know how it ends. I mean, this is kind of like a Hallmark Christmas movie, right? The two people meet, and, some woman, she returns back to a hometown because she got to get her values back or her priorities straight or whatever. And she meets this guy, and will they fall in love? Will they get married? And they have to get married, and they have to, whatever. They have to get married, and they have to be together, and they have to celebrate Christmas together or whatever. I don't know. Anyhow, so you got the Hallmark Christmas movie. Will they get together? And there's always a little bit of drama. There's always that, about 3/4 of the way through the movie, there's a monkey wrench. There's something goofs everything up, and now it doesn't look like they're going to get together. What's going to happen? And then they do, right? So that's every Hallmark Christmas movie, and you've probably seen them. And so if you were watching last week, we kind of got to that point in our story. Will Boaz and Ruth, will they get married? And so you saw that last week as we were working our way through chapter 3. Now, I do want to say, if you've seen a whole bunch of Hallmark Christmas movies, right, the last few weeks, last month or so, and you haven't been watching the Christmas in Ruth devotional series, then you need to get your priorities straight. Santa Claus is going to not bring you anything good in your stocking or something, hopefully. No. Anyhow, but I do encourage you to go check out those first 3 videos, and I do encourage you to, never watch a Hallmark Christmas movie again. But anyhow, so you've got Boaz and Ruth, and Boaz, he knows Ruth, he knows her story. Boaz is rich, and he is kind, and he has taken a special interest in Ruth, and he's been very gracious to her, and he knows her story. He knows how Ruth and her mother-in-law, Naomi, they both lost their husbands, right? They're both widows. He knows that Naomi has come back from the land of Moab, which is where Ruth was actually born. She's a Moabite, and Naomi and Ruth have come back from Moab, and they've come to Bethlehem, but they're in serious danger because their husbands are gone, and so they're in danger of losing their land. They're in danger of Naomi's husband, his Elimelech, his name being cut off from the land of Israel, of no inheritance, no sons to carry on the family name. So they need a kinsman redeemer. They need Boaz to step in, to buy the land, right? To keep that land in Elimelech and Naomi's family, to keep that name of Elimelech going, to keep that land in that family. We need a kinsman redeemer to step in and also to marry Ruth and to produce a son so that the family continues on, so that the name isn't cut off. We need a kinsman redeemer. And Boaz is perfect because not only is he able to do this, but he loves Ruth. And so it's just a great love story as well, isn't it? But Boaz, we saw at the end of chapter 3, Boaz is determined to do things the right way. He's determined to honor God with the way this all goes down. And so he says, we're going to see. I'll be glad to redeem you. I'll be glad to do it. I'll be glad to be the kinsman redeemer. I would love to. But there is a relative who is nearer. He's a nearer relative. He's a closer relation, and so he gets first dibs. He gets the first option. If he wants to redeem you, then it's his prerogative. It's his right. He gets the first chance. So we're going to see if he wants it. And so that brings us to Ruth chapter 4. All right, and we read the first 6 verses. It says, "Now Boaz had gone up to the gate and sat down there. And behold, the Redeemer, of whom Boaz had spoken, came by. So Boaz said, 'Turn aside, friend, sit down here.' And he turned aside and sat down. And he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, 'Sit down here.' So they sat down. Then he said to the Redeemer, 'Naomi, who has come back from the country of Moab, is selling the parcel of land that belonged to our relative Elimelech. So I thought I would tell you of it and say, buy it in the presence of those sitting here and in the presence of the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, redeem it. But if you will not, tell me, that I may know, for there is no one beside you to redeem it, and I come after you.' And he said, 'I will redeem it.' Then Boaz said," there's a little disclaimer here. "Then Boaz said in verse 5, 'The day you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, you also acquire Ruth, the Moabite, the widow of the dead, in order to perpetuate the name of the dead in his inheritance.'" Oh, well, that changes things. Then the Redeemer said, "I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I impair my own inheritance. Take my right of redemption yourself, for I cannot redeem it." And so what's happening here is that Boaz explains the situation to this Redeemer, to this nameless Redeemer. It's interesting, by the way, just a little side note here. It's interesting that in this book of Ruth, it's all about people's names. It's all about the importance of the family name. It's all about genealogies. It's very interesting that this man, the narrator doesn't even give his name. This man, in this story of all these important names, he's just old what's-his-face. He doesn't step up. He doesn't redeem. He doesn't show kindness. And so he's just sort of, I don't remember his name. It's old what's-his-face. It's old so-and-so. Boaz explains it to old so-and-so. He says, Naomi needs someone to buy her land. She needs someone to buy her land. She'll lose it. She will lose it. Because she can't take care of it. She can't maintain it. She can't keep it. Someone needs to buy her land. This guy says, I'll do it. That's great. Land is great. Of course I'll buy this parcel of land. Absolutely. It's going to be good for me, he's thinking. It's going to help me get richer. It's going to help me make money. There's profit here. Of course I'll buy it. Of course I will. Absolutely. Consider it done. And then Boaz said, oh yeah, and when you buy it, you also are going to have to marry Ruth. You're also going to have a son with Ruth. You're also going to have to keep Elimelech's family name going, and the land will belong to this son that you have with Ruth. It'll be his inheritance, and it'll be in the name of Elimelech. And wait, what? Now old what's-his-name is like, I don't know about that. I was all about this when I was going to make some money off the deal, when there was going to be something in it for me, but now it's just, actually, I'm going to lose money off of this deal. I'm going to buy this, and then I'm not going to even reap the rewards of it. I don't think I'm going to do this. In the end, this is not a good business move. This is just kindness for kindness' sake. This is just being generous. This is just being gracious. This is just loving. And this guy's like, well, that's not a very shrewd business move. I'm out. That's all Boaz needs. That's all the cue Boaz needs. Let me pick up the reading in verse 7. Now this was the custom in former times in Israel concerning redeeming and exchanging. To confirm a transaction, the one drew off his sandal and gave it to the other. And this was the manner of attesting in Israel. So when the Redeemer said to Boaz, buy it for yourself, he drew off his sandal. Then Boaz said to the elders and all the people, you are witnesses this day that I have bought from the hand of Naomi all that belonged to Elimelech and all that belonged to Chilion and Mahlon. Those are Elimelech's sons. Also, Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Mahlon, I have bought to be my wife, to perpetuate the name of the dead in his inheritance, that the name of the dead may not be cut off from among his brothers and from the gate of his native place. You are witnesses this day. So Boaz is going to do this for the family of Elimelech, for the sake of Naomi, for the safety and protection of Naomi and Ruth. He is going to sacrificially redeem them. He is going to be their kinsman redeemer. This is not a business move for Boaz. This is the loving kindness of a kinsman redeemer. This is grace in action. Verse 11, then all the people who were at the gates and the elders said, we are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your house like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the house of Israel. May you act worthily in Ephrathah and be renowned in Bethlehem. And may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah, because of the offspring that the Lord will give you by this young woman. So the neighborhood's excited. And they're saying, bless you, Boaz. May God's blessing be upon you and upon your family. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. And he went in to her, and the Lord gave her conception, and she bore a son. Then the women said to Naomi, right? So Ruth had the baby, but the women say to Naomi, blessed be the Lord who has not left you this day without a redeemer. And may his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons. That's like the perfect family. This daughter-in-law, this little Gentile Moabite daughter-in-law, is better to you than a whole family of sons, has given birth to him. Then Naomi took the child and laid him on her lap and became his nurse. And the women of the neighborhood gave him a name, saying, a son has been born to Naomi. And Ruth is like, wait, what? But you understand the picture here. God has, yes. Naomi started this story, and she was empty, and she was bitter. God has richly blessed poor, empty, bitter Naomi. A son has been born to Naomi. They named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David. Now these are the generations of Perez. Perez fathered Hezron. Hezron fathered Ram. Ram fathered Amminadab. Amminadab fathered Nahshon. Nahshon fathered Salmon. Salmon fathered Boaz. Boaz fathered Obed. Obed fathered Jesse, and Jesse fathered David. Boaz was the kinsman redeemer. He set Ruth and Naomi up for life. And now, what we have to see, and what we've been trying to see over these last few devotionals, we haven't seen everything that the book of Ruth has for us, but the thing I really wanted to help us to understand and be encouraged by as we look at this story of this, because I said in the first video, I said, this is about a little baby boy who's born in Bethlehem. It's about how his parents got together. And of course I meant Obed, right? Little Obed, the grandfather of David, the birth of this little baby boy. A very, very surprising story, a very unexpected story. But this is, of course, how God's grace worked, because the story here is not the birth of Obed. The story here is Obed, the grandfather of David. And that's not even the story. That's not even the little baby boy born in Bethlehem that we really celebrate. The story culminates, this family tree culminates with Jesus. Jesus is the one, he's the baby boy born in Bethlehem. He's the baby that's born into the family of David. This story of Boaz bringing Ruth together, it's not just to bless good old Naomi. It's not just to keep the name of Elimelech alive. It's not even just to bring us David, although that was incredible. God brought Boaz and Ruth together so that he could bring me and you Jesus, so that he could bring Jesus to us, so that he could bring Jesus right down into this really messy family tree he's got here. I mean, if you look at this, the people in David's family tree, that ends with Jesus, I mean, if you look, just the name Perez, right? Boaz's ancestor Perez, he was the son of Tamar. Tamar is the woman who dressed up like a prostitute and had a baby with her father-in-law, Judah. When we say Jesus is the Lion of the tribe of Judah, it means he's the descendant of that. Of Tamar pretending to be a harlot so she can have a baby with her father-in-law. Jesus comes right down into our mess, into our chaos, into our rotten decisions, into our all we like sheep have gone astray problems, into all of the wages of sin is death problems. Jesus comes right down into that. See, Boaz couldn't do anything about that. Boaz could set Ruth and Naomi up for life, and he did. He set them up for life. But he couldn't take care of the wages of sin is death problem. He couldn't take care of their all we like sheep have gone astray problem. He had the same problems himself. We all needed a better kinsman redeemer. We needed a better baby boy to be born in Bethlehem. We needed Jesus who came right down into our chaos, into our ugly family trees. I mean, King David's not the only one with skeletons in his closet. Perez and Judah and Tamar aren't the only ones with skeletons in their closet. In fact, not just skeletons in their closet, but skeletons in their front yard for everyone to see, right? That's us too, isn't it? We've got skeletons in our closet. We got skeletons in our front yard. We need Jesus. We are like sheep that have gone astray. We are facing the wages of our sin, which is death. We need Jesus to be our kinsman redeemer. And that's exactly who Jesus is. Jesus didn't come and save us because it was a shrewd business move, because there was going to be, because in the end he was going to be richer for it. Jesus came to save us because of his own loving kindness. Not because I'm such a shrewd business move. Acquiring me, that didn't raise Jesus' stock. His stock was doing just fine. His inheritance was just fine. He had all that he needed within the Trinity as the eternal Son of God. He came out of loving kindness. Let's pause this Christmas and let's remember the loving kindness of our kinsman redeemer. Let's remember that God loved us and that he loved us so much that yet while we were still sinners, his beautiful Son, born in Bethlehem, born of a virgin, born under the law, living a perfect life, his perfect Son, Jesus, while we were yet sinners, this Jesus Christ died for us. Let's pause this Christmas and remember steadfast, faithful love of our kinsman redeemer.